Many of you may know that Trump signed an executive order and he reduced the amount of unemployment benefit that Americans would get that are collecting. So it went from 600 to 400. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what these folks do. Eventually, this economy is going to tank. It is, you know, and I just say prepare yourself for the worst because things are not going to get better in this country. And the fall, I still say I believe is going to be far worse than this summer. So this is Bloomberg, August 9th, 2020. Struggling economy gets only limited help from Trump's actions. The executive actions signed by President Donald Trump on Saturday add up to thinning the lifeline that, people were getting. And of course, lawmakers are not happy. You know, Many still feel that the $600 is what people should get because, the circumstances are really bad out here right now. So Trump's redirection of disaster relief fund would provide 300 a week in federal aid to the unemployed plus 100 in state funds, down from the weekly $600 in the CARES Act that expired in July. That money is capped at $44 billion, which at the current level of unemployment could run out in 1 to 2 months. So, ladies and gentlemen, many people were concerned about being evicted. He did take care of that for, it's not indefinite, but for a short period of time. So the extra $400 unemployment payment is likely to last only a month. Only a month. Now, I did read an article a little earlier today, and Nancy Pelosi was saying they are still going to fight for that $600, regardless to what Trump did today, Saturday. They're still fighting for it. So the extra $400 unemployment, a Goldman Sachs economist said in a research note on Saturday, Trump's other major action could potentially have a bigger impact. It defers the payroll tax from September through the end of the year for workers earning as much as $8,000 a month, which could put an extra $600 at most in employee pockets. Economist Stephen Moore, a Trump ally, says it amounts to a $3 billion tax cut that could help the economy. Other economists said, however, that it's unlikely to provide as much stimulus as Trump may hope. The payroll tax deferment would last through the end of the year, but consumers might be hesitant to spend extra income without a change in tax law. Goldman economists Alec Phillips and Blake Taylor wrote in their note, while the actions may beat a complete lapse in relief for Americans, the funds for the unemployed are much more limited than in prior months, and the payroll tax deferment won't help the tens of thousands, millions who've lost their jobs. Beyond the legality of Trump's actions isn't completely clear, and it didn't include an extension of aid for small businesses who are running low on prior relief funds. So there are a lot of things he did not touch on, y'all. Now, some people were talking about the $1,200 stimulus. That was not part of his executive order. If you go and research and read, that was not part of the executive order. So that is something that's still going to have to come from Congress and the Senate. And Congress has already pushed the bill over to the Senate. So you're going to have to wait for those guys to get off their ass and do something to get the stimulus payments moving. In all, the executive actions might create some new deadlines at the start of September, the Goldman economist said. If these policies are indeed implemented, this suggests that they might force Congress to act by then to avoid further disruptions. Ernie Tedeschi, economist at Evercore ISI, said Trump's moves were certainly better than nothing, but it's not as good as a solution. Congress coming to a more clearly legal and logistical, feasible compromise in their fiscal negotiation. The impact of the payroll tax deferment hinges on whether employers will stop withholding the money from American paychecks, with voters in turn pressuring Congress to eventually pass legislation forgiving the accumulated amount. But employers may decide simply to do nothing in the face of uncertainty, fearing that if Congress fails to act, they could be stuck trying to claw back money from their employees to settle their obligations to the Internal Revenue Service. The idea of reducing payroll taxes is expecting companies to comply with an executive order when they're going to need for their employees to give it back later unless the payroll cut is made permanent. There's no logic to it, said Diane Snall. Okay, so, all right, let me just go down a little. Trump said he was approving the $400 benefit because he saw 600. He's just saying the typical thing, which don't make any sense. And like they said, there's no evidence that people are discouraged from going back to work. How can you be discouraged from going back to work over $600 when there's not enough jobs to go around out here? That doesn't make any sense. But see, these politicians, nobody is holding their feet to the fire and making them show evidence of all these people refusing to go to work, because you know why? It's not happening. It's an excuse, and a sorry one on top of that. All right, so he claims he's just repeating. These guys are like robots. Once they get on something, they just repeat it over and over and over. They know how to kill a dead horse. So, a recent rally cry from many Republican lawmakers, the text of the action says that 300 would come from the federal government, while the other 100 would come from states. Andrew Husby, an economist with Bloomberg Economics, estimated that the new benefits would amount to a run rate of about $30 billion a month, which means the money could run out in less than 2 months. And the situation could likely require another fix from Congress before November's election. While 400 is still a reasonably substantial amount, no, it isn't. It's definitely a cutback that will be felt in spending. It will, because if a lot of people cannot make it because they don't have enough money to pay their rent, it's going to be less money flowing through this economy. I'm telling you that right now. For the payroll tax deferral, the net positive impact is going to be a bit less than the raw numbers might suggest. It's going to be interesting to see if people are going to be flocking in these stores to go Christmas shopping this year. I have a feeling Christmas is going to be a lot of low spending going on this Christmas. Christmas is not going to be the same with COVID floating around. You can best believe that. Okay. Another hitch is if unemployment starts to go up again, the new funds get used up more quickly. So you have more people getting less money for shorter periods of time, said Noel Noroff, president and founder of Noroff Economic Advisors. It will be very interesting. I wonder if they're going to have a happy, jolly year this year. And how about Thanksgiving? Are they going to be all crowded around the table like they were in previous years? I think COVID is going to put a damper on these holidays big time. No matter how much you try to normalize it, it will never be the same. So you sit down with a turkey, you stand up with COVID. But y'all, please tell me what you think. Like I said, I see the economy tanking. I do. Because, as these guys get stingier and stingy, you can best believe every time they have to come back together to work on another stimulus, they're going to get stingier and stingier and stingier each time. You don't have to worry about tanking the economy. These politicians are doing a bang up job at it. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.